Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Kate Nankerville of Force of Nature, and it's my pleasure to be interviewing the amazing Grant Caunter today. Grant is a beerpreneur and the founder of State of Play Brewing, and today we're talking about how to make your July the ultimate me month. I first met Grant at the end of last year, and I was really impressed with Grant's story. He'll tell us about that in a bit. It's really inspiring. But not only his story, Grant, you really impressed me with your ability to set goals and make stuff happen, not just like dream about it, but actually implement it. You've got a really clear vision for that. And I've really enjoyed and leaned into your skill in that space. So welcome, Grant. And welcome to those of you watching live today. And also those of you who will be watching the replay. It's great to have you with us, whichever time you're choosing to join us. So welcome, Grant.
Hello, Kate, and thank you very much for that lovely, warm welcome.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Absolutely. It's nice to be here. So, Grant, let's jump right on in. You've had an amazing journey to get to here. Can you please tell us your story?
Well, I'll give you a quick rundown of what appears to be a game of two halves at the moment, and hopefully a little dose of extra time as well. If we go back, 5 years now, living a great life and probably living the dream is what you could say. Had the ultimate career. I was working for Heineken over in Amsterdam, a 25-year career, the dream job, talking about beer, craft beer, morning, noon, and night. And I could see the world, and I suppose I was just so into just this 25 years of talking beer and visiting people, countries, breweries, that it wasn't until March 16th, the day we all got that email saying don't come back into the office because of COVID, that I really was put myself under the microscope and was able to assess my own state of play. And in the game of life, I really gave myself a yellow card. And all of those life pressures and the tension of COVID and where I'd got to after this 25-year career was really put under the microscope. And
where were you, Grant, when you say yellow card? What sort of measurables were you giving yourself?
Well, I was 145 kilograms. My resting heart rate was 80. I'd been wearing a sleep apnea machine for the previous 9 years. I just thought that was something part of my physiology. I couldn't really run. I still thought I was going to be an All Black.
I love it.
The fact that my mobility was slightly impaired because of this large frame. Yeah, I suppose it wasn't actually looking too good. And then the fogginess, the anxiety, I hate Monday mornings, just all of that cloudiness on top of what I looked at myself physically going, man, where's this going to end up, Kate? And probably it wasn't going to be a happy ending. And it was that microscope of the pressure of that lockdown. That Amsterdam lockdown was really, you couldn't leave. I'd look at my watch and go, how many steps have I done today? Which was basically from the desk to the fridge, to the TV, to the fridge, to bed. And there was no outlook that things were going to turn the corner so quickly. So it just started to build up that if there was anyone who was going to make a difference and get out of this sort of malaise and do something about it, it was me. I was the only person who could take control of this situation. And I'd actually read a book, I don't know if you can see it, but this book.
Yeah.
The Peter Fitzsimons book. The great Aussie bloke, slimmed down. And it was just that perfect timing that what he was saying and what I wanted struck a chord, and we made a plan, and I decided I'd knuckle down and commit and go for it.
Right. That was pretty courageous with all of that dynamic going on, given that you had the dream job and the lifestyle and all that went with it. And then to go into that lockdown and then face that pretty full-on confronting reality in a way where you're actually taking action. It's amazing. And I know I've gone and read Peter Fitzsimons' book on your recommendation. I love the language he uses too. It's really real. That's kind of like helps you in the, I guess, looking at what's going on, as well as lots of good tips and things that he's got going on. But yeah, that I really respect your courage that you took that and went, right, I'm going to do something. I'm going to take action here.
Yeah, and make a decision. Like in a time where no one was making any decisions, there was no clarity. The only decision that was getting made at the time was, when's the next virtual happy hour going to be? And I was responsible for my own problem by booking as many of those as possible because I was so good at it. And yeah, it wasn't until really we hit a point where it was like, yeah, something's got to change. And the balance of me wanting to change finally got bigger than the ease of maintaining my current habits. And once that balance shifted and I knew where I wanted to go, I'm not saying it was actually easy, but the process to follow was pretty straightforward.
Yep. Right. What process did you follow?
Well, it's all in, and it's just based on 3 measures that Peter's actually able to really easily articulate.
Yep.
One is stop drinking.
Yep.
And you lose 10 kgs. Start walking. So do 10,000 steps a day or whatever is a stretch for you to get out and about and go do it. That's another 10 kgs.
Yep.
And eat better. And when I say eat better, be really conscious about what's going in. And for me, it was bread and those high carb foods. Cut that. Another 10 kgs. And then he gives you this bonus equation that if you do all 3, you get a bonus 5 kgs. And he's like, man, you just need to measure the success of your progress. So I got some scales, and that was what blew me away. I'd never done all 3 before. Yeah, I'd done fitness work. Yeah, I'd given up drinking for a bit. Yeah, I'd done some exercise and eaten better, but I never did all of them together and really made it a me project, an all-in project. I think often I would say do one and then overcompensate on the other. And in the end, net, you didn't see any advantage. But in this occasion, man, kg each week. Well, and of course, once you come off a pretty good booze habit, you actually lose quite a lot of weight quite quickly. But at the end of that first month, it was 8 kgs down. I was sleeping completely differently. My mobility had increased, from small steps to running and all of these things. That became intoxicating. That's what was really quite exciting. And I'd just forgotten about this whole alcohol thing because at the same time, I discovered this world of non-alcoholic beers, where in the Netherlands is about 9% of the beer market is non-alc.
Mm-hmm.
So there was all this choice. So I didn't miss out on anything, didn't miss out on meeting up with friends or enjoying a beer, but it was all part of a new program that I went, you know what? I love this, the benefits that this streak is providing me. Mm. And I just wanted to do more and more and more. So this actually kicked off Yeah, in dry July 2020.
Yeah,
is when I started, and I'm still going. In fact,
amazing.
this is my last pint. So look at that puku.
Right. Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
a lot of
Amazing.
effort into that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it just goes to show that I really knew that this was going to be my last pint. I wasn't afraid of it. I had it, and then 4 years later, we're here to tell the tale.
Yeah, you sure are. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Grant. So just recapping that first month, down 8 kilos, sleeping better, which is amazing too. If you've ever had any trouble and you've used something like a sleep apnea machine, that's just incredible. And being able to start running also within a month is pretty amazing. So you talked to me about in the past too about the power of streaks, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. I think that is phenomenal. That building upon success and what that gives you from almost like you've got the standing start position, you take this major action, and then all this positive outcome is just incredible. So that you were saying that happened back in dry July 2020, and here we are now. Look at you now. You look amazing. I keep saying like it feels like you look like leaner to me as you go, but I know you're working on lots of aspects of keeping yourself in great shape and doing all the things still. The reason we're here today is to get into this conversation to support other people to perhaps tap into this. We've got July coming up, and we're talking about the concept of dry July. So, why is dry July such an amazing global phenomenon?
It it really allows the social license in what is quite a touchy subject for a lot of people, not drinking, to all together go, as one, we're going to go 30 odd days alcohol free. It's a great cause for cancer research. And this is a month that is just growing and growing in popularity as socially it becomes more acceptable to do this. And also, as our attitudes towards alcohol really change, especially a bit like me after the COVID microscope we were able to put on our own lives and habits. And this year, with for sure in New Zealand, will be the biggest ever month of people taking a month off together, for sure.
Yeah. And look, I myself as an individual, I like the appeal of it, but I also acknowledge I drink less than I used to. And I know that there was a time when for me doing dry July would have probably been more of a thing. But I like the take on it that you're bringing to this, Grant, because you're really introducing this idea of how can we make that whole month even better for ourselves. And, this ties into the neuroscience of change too, which I really like. Because what are we focusing on here and what do we want more of, kind of thing. I think we've talked about that. And we've talked about the fact, and you've brought it to my attention that if we stop doing something, sometimes people use the word deny ourselves something, then we can get caught up with that, perhaps, which is not actually what we want to be focusing upon, when we could be focusing on more growth measures for ourselves. And I think you've talked to me a lot about that, and that hit home for me. So we're here to talk about what you've created, which is the Ultimate Me Month. You can see that behind me. If I go, it doesn't make sense. If I go this way, you can see the Ultimate Me Month behind me, which you're bringing to us from State of Play, which is really aligned with your brand. So let's get into that. What is the Ultimate Me Month going to be about?
Well, it's about enjoying a dry month, for sure. The bit that I would really encourage people to focus on is to do it for them, do it for you. And part of that is finding out what a good result really looks like. What is it that you would like to commit to? For me, when I commenced back in 2020, it was weight. It was a very obvious thing for me that habits of eating and drinking and lethargy and all those things was not contributing to a healthy state. So I really wanted to see progress there, but I had to commit to a program up front. It wasn't just going to happen by accident, but it was also about going, what are the milestones that I'm going to hit that really drive me forward and make me feel like this is something that I'm enjoying and want to do more of. It wasn't like I'd made alcohol or food the enemy. It was this future state that I'd imagined that I really wanted to get to, plus the associated celebration that I knew I could have at that point. And the bit about Dry July, I think we do a bit much of, is we make alcohol the star of the show, and the conflict and the aggression we have towards this evil poison. Well, if you make it about yourself and the goals that you want to achieve and stop thinking about alcohol, that makes for a much more enjoyable month, and also a much better end to the month. You'll have a look at Facebook around the 27th, 28th of the month, and people will be tapping away on their posts, congratulating themselves on having lost weight, having reconnected, kicked a few goals, sleeping better, beautiful skin, and then exclaiming with much joy how hopping on the piss in a couple of days' time and getting straight back on the horse is what they're after. Whereas I'd be going, well, what a perfect time for you to go, man, with a little bit of effort, look at this transformation. And this is just the start of committing to some new habits. What would happen if I chose some of those habits and kept on going? So the Ultimate Me Month document is a few tips and tricks and things you'll find out at different stages of the month that you know in advance, so you can actually deal with those and turn what could be a moment of uncertainty or distraction into a moment that you've already got a plan for, and you turn it into a real positive.
Yeah, absolutely, which is cool, and that inspires me. Like, Grant has designed this amazing Ultimate Me Month download, which is free. We can all get access to it, and we'll make sure that is below the live, both during or afterwards. We'll make sure the link is there so you can download. But I think one of the things for me, I got up early this morning. It was about 5:30, and I looked out the window, and I could see the fog of a winter morning. I quite like a fog, but it's like that winter thing going on. You're in the middle of the year. That might feel like a tricky time for you. You're thinking, what am I going to do? Or you might have not even thought that. But if you're thinking about how could I make this next month even better than what it's kind of going to drag by as for you, maybe because you're thinking it's wintry, this is a great time to lean into what Grant's got to offer. So we've got this download. I've got mine here. And you can get access to that. It's a few pages of Grant's amazing wisdom. So, Grant, can you take us through the Me Month planner and what we're doing there? So we've got this planner now. What are we going to do now?
Well, first part of getting prepared is you're going to measure your progress. So the first stage is how you're going to do that. Peter Fitzsimons in his book was very much because it was about weight. Get yourself some decent scales. I also think from a steps point of view, having a watch or a Fitbit or something like that can just give you the evidence of what you've been doing, and then the cumulative effect of all those actions really turns into some great reflections that you can do, as the month kicks off. So first of all, get yourself prepared so that you can see the progress you're making. And then let's just, accept that it's going to be a dry month. You're not going to have any alcohol, but what is it apart from that would be a great result? Like I say, for me, it was health and waistline. For other people, it could be wealth and saving some money. We started a what was it called? A sober calculator or something, I think it was called. Man, if you want something to surprise you, that is a big number. But for other people, it could be about connections, or it could be about just feeling a bit crappy, having the fogginess, or I used to call it the anxiety, that just maybe not big episodes of drinking, but just the habit of a bottle of wine or two a night basically has, and the ebbs and flows of the alcohol and the sugar and the in those drinks, the effect that has on you, especially as you get a bit older.
Sure. So what we're talking about here is like identifying your motivation. So
Yeah.
honing in on what that looks like. And you were saying that calculator that added up to quite a spend per month for you. So what did you do? What did you do when you worked out what you were spending and then what you weren't? Did you put that into something, or did you?
Yeah.
Did you...
I got myself some new golf clubs. It was quite good.
Oh!
And then that helped me. That helped me with my step count. So I was,
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here. It could be a whole set of clubs. There you go.
And the key thing is you write it down. So if you write down what it is, then it's a contract just with yourself.
For sure. And look, for me, because I've been completing this amazing document, I put down clear-headed and productive and better energy to great energy, because that has an on-flow effect for lots of aspects of life, whether it's business or personal. So I like that as a result of the choices I'm going to be making during the Ultimate Me month. So that energy thing's really important for me.
Yeah, and likewise for me, I have had some eating choices that I'm now not so happy with. I'm really motivated to wear a pair of jeans that the waist is not longer than the length. So that would be a great outcome for me. And I'm also signed up to do a big Camino de Santiago walk next March, and I'm going to do 4 big 20K plus walks in July to get myself really enthusiastic about kicking off another life goal.
Right, so that's awesome. So you've got that longer term goal of the Camino de Santiago, but breaking it down into what can you do now during July to contribute to your fitness to be able to do that. That's cool. I like that. So we've got sort of that page on motivation, and then that leans into the next page. And you've talked about SMART goals. So where to from that? Like, I've thought about what's going to motivate me around what's your process for a SMART goal, Grant?
Yeah, well, it comes back to that, what is really important to you, and then there's going to be a combination of inputs and outputs. The inputs are the ones that you can do, you can guarantee. The outputs, you just are hoping the process takes care of those. And in combination, they help measure your progress and continue to re-inspire you to and recommit to the goals that you'd written down at the beginning. So I've got some weight goals. I do park run every Saturday morning. I want a new park run PB. I'm going to do 4 20K hikes. For State of Play, I'm going to launch a new beer. So I've got a real cool business goal there. Got to complete all of my 2024 summer planning, because I can do a bit of procrastinating. I'm quite good at that. But if I write it down, I'm going to make it happen. And catch a fish. So I'm going to go to Tongariro in the second week of the year, and come hell or high water, I will catch a lovely trout and then hand it back to the river.
Okay, cool. Well, they're exciting. I'm inspired by those. I've put down for mine, because I'll put mine, I want to say it out loud here. I'm going to do a daily yoga routine for the whole of the month. And it's not super long, but I'm going to do it every day, because back to that input and output, I reckon a month of doing that and I'll feel like a different person by the end of the month. Yeah. And I'm going to do daily meditation. So I know that that's really good for me. I have a number of things that I like listening to, which for meditation, which I'll be into. I'm definitely going to go sugar-free for the month because I want and I need to. So that's linked to a weight loss goal. And then there's some movement goals as well in terms of the walking goals that I've got. But I also know, because Grant and I talked about this earlier, I had this idea that I'd follow the process of this book. There's this book here that I've got, The Joy Diet, and it's got a whole bunch of stuff in. But Grant, can you share with people watching today or later why perhaps I might have bitten off more than I could achieve in a month by choosing something so grunty?
Well, it was just a very big book with a year's worth of milestones from what I could see, and I think that the key with that first month is you got to manage that. The things that you say you're going to commit to, you got to do. And it's a bit like park run, this every Saturday morning. Which is more difficult, running 25 or running 300 park runs? They give away a little coaster for those at Sir Barry Curtis Park that do 25. And I look at that a bit like a month going dry. That 25 park runs is now a habit. And all they ask you to do is just turn up and commit and stop thinking about the weather and all that kind of stuff. No different to giving up a month off the booze. But now I've done 25, I couldn't think of a better way than getting up early on a Saturday morning and going and doing a park run, no matter what part of the world I'm in. In fact, when we're now looking about traveling, we're going, I wonder if that city's got a park run, so we could go and enjoy it on a Saturday morning. So I suppose that the chat that we had is, do all those things in the book meet the objectives that you committed to and wrote down as your goal at the beginning? Or which ones are adding to that or colouring it in ever further? So how few things can you commit to achieve your goal? And then have another conversation with yourself on 1 August, and there might be other parts of the book, another chapter you want to tick off.
Okay, cool. I like it. That's great. I appreciate that, Grant, because I sometimes get a little bit over enthusiastic and try to cram too much into an unrealistic amount of time. That's cool. So we've got the SMART goals. Then you've talked about, you alluded to it a little bit earlier, talking about the procrastination stuff. Because there's an array of things you've incorporated in this, and I really like it because what is it that you've been putting off for ages? There's a spot in the planner around that.
That stuff that's just living rent-free in your life for months and months and months that you just haven't got the energy to get rid of. Well, the procrastination station needs to kick into gear. And look, I've got plenty. I'll tell you what, that garage is going to cop it. I've got to tidy the garage. I've got a whole wardrobe full of size 46 pants and shirts are living rent-free in my wardrobe. Well, they're going to go. I'm going to paint the trellis. Apparently, just turning the barbecue on high for an hour isn't actually cleaning the barbecue. So that needs to happen. But I've written it down, and so I've given myself a contract. So
right.
Look out, barbecue.
Awesome. And I like this too, but based on what you were talking about back in the start too, where you said when you first started doing this, you were you found time in your day that you didn't have before because you weren't falling asleep at night after drinking and you were waking up early in the morning. So doing something with this energy that's productive and I guess nailing some of the things that have been on your procrastination station, that's a really good thing to add in. It'll give you an energy release and a great deal of satisfaction from completing those things. And I know I've got a particular cupboard where I put things. And the cupboard goes like, I'm tackling that. And I also am a keen crafter in my spare time, and I have stashes of fabric and yarn. So I'm going to go through and tidy that up and organize it and get, let some stuff go.
It's a good point to bring in here, Kate, that what will happen with a whole lot of first-time dry Julyers is the euphoria of the first 3 days is is that you're quite excited because you're doing something pretty cool. It's a challenge, it's a bit new, and you're totally into it. On day 4, you're bored. You're bored because you've got 4 more hours in the day that you didn't have beforehand. You're going to get up early. You're going to get up at 6 o'clock, 6:30 at a time maybe you've never got up before, because you're ready for the day. And then instead of deciding, do I have the first glass of that second bottle of wine, you're still fully wide awake and full of energy at 7, 8 o'clock at night. And your brain's, and you're thinking, because you haven't filled that space up with anything to do, because you've been so busy worrying about whether you've got another glass to imbibe. And that's partly why we're saying here is have a plan. You got a lot of hours to fill in that first week to go from some old habits into new ones. And who'd have thought that one of the consequences of going dry is boredom? But how to flip that and knowing it's going to happen and go, well, actually, I'm going to plan the month a bit different, and I'm going to organize some things to do in the evening, or some people to go to visit, or a non-alc craft beer tasting night, or pick up a new hobby. Start planning that for July. Fill up some of these hours in the evening. That's one thing. And then just absolutely enjoy the mornings. You'll enjoy the mornings like you've never enjoyed mornings for decades, if you were a habit drinker like me anyway.
Yeah.
They are incredible. So, yeah.
Nice. Like it. That's great. And that takes us in really nicely into the planning of the month, because you've got some knowledge about this that I had absolutely no idea about, being kind of a bit, not experienced in what happens during dry July. So I like the idea that we're planning the month to be the most successful that we can. We're incorporating what you've already got us on the path with our goals and our motivation, and lining up things to do to get them off the list. But what are the things we need to think about when we plan our month? Take us through that, Grant, because you've got a number of cool, really important pieces of, I guess, knowledge that come out from human behavior around this stuff.
Well, one thing is for certain, the month is going to fly by. Like, it will absolutely fly by. And there's only 4 weekends. So that's 4 hangover-free Saturdays and 4 hangover-free Sundays. They're quite long days when you've got all of them to enjoy. So maybe you could go and do a park run. You could experience the sounds and sights of a weekend market. You can come and say hi to me at Smales Farm Market on the North Shore on the second Sunday of the month. That's 8 days. Your weekends are going to be fantastic if you actually plan for them. And that's in and around all the things that you've already got with sports and the like. Midweek, they're the bits that I'd say, here's the time to, if you're definitely motivated by exercise or getting your steps up, that's how you can use the evenings in terms of gym class, or go for a evening walk, get the steps up. There's 12 days to fill in.
Yep.
Maybe one booze-free date night. Don't be afraid of going out. Honestly, it is so much fun going out, enjoying food. Your taste buds will change. I know this is weird, but everything will start tasting really sweet after a couple of weeks, and you'll be tasting food that you've never tasted before. Now there's a huge range of non-alc alternatives. Like the venues that are successful know that they need to have choice, and a beautifully crafted zero alc cocktail. Yeah, go for it. Maybe movie night. Now that's 20 days. One night in the second 2 weeks, that's a treat night. So plan something there. Maybe a new hobby or a class that you want to give something and go at. Yeah, there's another 4 days. And so that only leaves 6 days left. And then you can go back to your procrastination station and go, well, here are the things that I've actually got to do, and I've only got 6 days to do it. So giddy up and then just watch that month just fly by.
Fantastic. Well, there's some great ideas for you there in the plan your month section as well. And I think the other thing that I would let's just make sure I'm covering this off. I know. Well, let's move on from that planning, but this is also a little bit about the planning phase. Grant, tell us what surprised you about embarking on Dry July when you did this back in 2020. What were the things that came out of that for you?
Well, like we've already talked about just how much more time you end up having, and how well, for me, one of the big things was with the void of alcohol, what to fill it with. And I suppose one of the real treats for me, and the reason why I started State of Play Brewing here in New Zealand, is it feels like I lived in the future over there of what a world full of non-alc options really looked like, where there was so much choice that going out really is about enjoying the people that you're with rather than the amount of alcohol in the bottle that you've got in your hand. And so I made me feel, oh my God, this really is a Grant problem. This is the little bubble that I'm in, and I've enjoyed being part of. But there's all these other choices out there, and I suppose having the commitment to give it a go, and equally an open mind to try all these new things, I really felt that is one of the most rewarding things. And we're talking about 30 days here, and that is the goal of the Ultimate Me Month. But with these measurements and tracking your project, and then looking at your watch and going, oh my God, I'm down to a resting heart rate of 50. And if you're only born with so many heartbeats, then maybe there's a few extra years at the other end now. I also started running around the park in Amsterdam, 11-minute 30 Ks. 9 months later, I was going around in 5-minute 30. I've got a golf story. I've got all of these things that I could keep on looking at and seeing the progress. So it was that constant monthly, how's my state of play, personal assessment that really got me going. And we come back to some of the unexpected benefits. I thought my sleep apnea machine that I'd had for 9 years was a life sentence. I thought that would be something that would never go away. Well, 9 months later, I'm just going to stop using this. And I haven't used it for 3 and a bit years. I just, the gift that keeps on coming from this approach is the bit that I have to keep reminding myself, and probably to accept that some of those things that you thought were non-negotiables, like your career and your job, well, for me, I actually also assessed my state of play in terms of that side of things as well. So even though it started out with 30 days, the benefits definitely kept on going a lot further.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Thank you. They're all really great lessons to come out of it and interesting things that came out of it for you. The other thing that I wanted to bring us back to was that you told me that there's this really significant date in the month, in the 30 days, and it's the 18th of July, where a lot of people come a cropper. So talk us through that, because I didn't know about that.
This is probably a more of a life science hack. But the 18th of the month is statistically proven across the world of dry Julying as the day of the month most people give up. So they've given it a good hard crack that first week. They've hung on, and they get to that third weekend, and look, I've had enough. My approach suggestion is you make the 18th a real star of the month. Really lean into what could be a difficult day, that kind of halfway point, and turn that into a day to really celebrate. That's a milestone where you celebrate getting past the 18th, then you're home and hose. Because the other part is, once you get to the end of the month, statistically, whilst most people give up on the 18th, statistically, the people who last the whole month end up reshaping their attitude towards alcohol and the habits that come with it in some way. Yeah. So it's a real bonus to get to the end there. So if there is a wobble point on the 18th, we're going to beat the stats because we've got our ultimate me month, and we're going to be champions all the way through to August 1.
Right. That's a hot tip. You heard it here. So I printed off my July. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to be populating this, and I've just flagged the 18th on my calendar. So I need to plan something in there to make it really good so I can get past the 18th for me. That's great. I like that. And we're developing these new habits that we're embarking on, things that we're trying and fitting into this time we have available, celebrating our success. So we get through the whole month. We do all the things that we've set ourselves as goals and activities, and we're doing the input and we're starting to see the output. What are we going to do at the end of the month, Grant? Tell us about that.
You're going to have an interview with yourself.
Okay.
See if you get the job. You're going to have all those facts in front of you. You've got your contract you gave to yourself, what was important to you at the beginning of the month. You'll be able to see all the goals that you accomplished, how you went about doing it. And then you can ask yourself, so how is my state of play now? How do I feel? How do I feel in terms of physically and mentally? How do I feel? But also that really warm feeling of accomplishment that you set out to do something and then you did it.
Yeah.
And then celebrate it, but maybe not celebrate it the old way. Maybe think of a new way of celebrating it with all those extra hours that you've got left. And that is the really important time, to not have the focus of August 1 being, that's when I'm going to have a big night out. But that is actually the most important interview that you have with yourself, to go, is there a profound difference in how I feel now compared to where I was at the beginning of the month? And if there isn't any different, then great. Then you've got things in check. You're happy with the way that you're going. There's no indicators there that you need a big grant transformation. But if there is a gap, if there is a sizable delta in where you were and where you got, well, what are you going to do about it? You don't have to do anything. You can do whatever you want. But if it's proven that these habits that you've brought into the month have really positively affected you, and ask the people around you what they think of you, then some of those habits you might decide could hang around. And then it's time to have another plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. And I think for me, it's very easy to have time was on by. So we've got this 1st of August date. We're going to do the interview of ourselves and ask ourselves, what is my state of play now after my month of putting in the inputs, and then review. I think it's really easy for life to go by without actually making a plan and getting stuff happening. So I'm going to use this as a model for then what am I going to do in August and ongoing. I would encourage other people, if you're interested in this, if you want to make positive change happen in your life, then take this action. So we're both going to be interested to hear from people who want to take up this challenge to participate in the Ultimate Me Month. Grant, question for you. Is it okay to drink zero alcohol beer during dry July?
Well, that's what worked for me.
Yep.
Because I am a beer guy. I love beer. I just don't love the alcohol that's in it. And for zero alcohol beer in New Zealand, if you look at the food standards, anything under 0.5% is classified as alcohol-free or non-alc. That's less alcohol than orange juice, a banana, or sourdough bread. There's naturally occurring low-level alcohol in anything with sugar content. For me, I really enjoyed, removing alcohol, but including zero alcohol beers in terms of enjoyment, of sociability, and taste. And maybe it was a bit unfair for me a couple of years ago because there's so much choice in where I was. Now in New Zealand, equally there is enough choice, and I'd go as far as to say that New Zealand beers, zero alcohol beers, are the best in the world. And I have sampled a lot, Kate.
You've put in the yards for us, so we can.
I've done a lot of research on behalf of everyone else.
Yeah.
And so once again, it's a personal choice, but the choice is now there for you if you want to have some zero alcohol beers. And if I look at just the orders that I've had in the last couple of weeks, people are definitely preparing for an alcohol-free month, but a month with State of Play. And maybe a good time for me to plug some State of Play at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, do.
Today and tomorrow, Sunbreaker Ale, because we're also celebrating the shortest day on Friday, so that the days are all getting longer from here on in. We've got 20% off Sunbreaker Ale at Short 20 is the coupon code. Our IPA is our biggest selling beer, real beautiful hop malt balance. These are all naturally brewed beers. I use a yeast that only converts into 0.4% sugar. I don't remove the alcohol mechanically, so that's why it tastes so good. And if you're a bit of a closet hop head, the Nectaron Unfiltered is absolutely full of a particular hop called Nectaron, which is like a fruit bowl to the face.
Nice, excellent. So that's awesome. Good to hear about those options that we've got there. So we can order those online too, which is great. Can I just also ask you, Grant, you've made a really generous offer for people to try some of your beer, haven't you?
Yes.
Coming up. Tell us about that, how we can get our hands on some free beer.
Well, leading into the beginning of dry July, I've got a mix pack which has got 2 cans of each in it. You just need to message, send through to grant@stateofplaybeer.com or here on the LinkedIn Live messaging system, and flick me your address and I'll send you some State of Play beer so you can be the judge.
Fantastic. So you heard it here. If you want to try some of this amazing State of Play zero alcohol beer, then message Grant so you can try a mix pack because they are really nice. I totally rate them. They're so good. I love the fact that you can drink beer again, because I used to drink beer as a student, and I would say I probably drank beer less until I met you, and I think it's so nice. I'm a bit of a fan of the Sunbreaker Ale myself, so take advantage of that 20% off to get yourself some of that. So let's just come back to the actions we're asking people to take today, Grant, before we wrap up this afternoon. So we're saying to them, ask yourself, what is your state of play today? So think about that. If you are interested in the Ultimate Me Month and want to make July just amazing for yourself, then download the free planner so you can get your hands on that. And you need to really then take that action of making a decision to commit to what you're putting in place. And then just like to let you know, anyone who's watching this live or on the recorded version, later, the replay, we're going to regroup in a month's time, Grant, aren't we? We're going to come back together to talk about how this has gone for ourselves. We'll share more about our own personal commitment and experiences. So what else would you like to say about that before we wrap up in terms of that regrouping and where we'll be in a month's time?
Well, I mean, it is hard sitting down and writing down what really is motivating you to do this beyond just giving up alcohol for a month. But it is an important part. And I know it is difficult. Start writing it down and it will come out. And the real reason why you want to do it will be a powerful force in you getting to a future state that you're really going to be really happy to get to. And don't underestimate the 18th as a little marker. And don't underestimate the procrastination station. All those rent-free jobs, and it's like having files on your desktop that have to reopen every time you turn the computer on. It's all those little things you got in there. Kick some of them to touch, and that'll be your dopamine hit for the day. And try something new. And if that trying something new is having a craft beer tasting, 0 alcohol style, with a few mates, you'll be amazed how good they taste. And there's some prejudices that we've had for non-alc beers in the past because we don't want to like them.
Yeah.
But when you're going in head first, really embracing the change, these are really enjoyable. And the final one, and I know it is the most difficult of it all because it can be quite confronting, but it's an interview just with yourself, is the 1st of August, and just assess your state of play. And is it any different to where you were a month earlier? And how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
And what does that motivate you to do?
Yeah, for sure. Grant, thank you. I want to also say we welcome you letting us know about how the Ultimate Me Month is going for you. So don't feel like you're doing it on your own. Share it with us. You can message us privately, or you could share a post on LinkedIn. Even if you want to get involved and you want to share this, that'll be great. I know I'll be sharing how I'm going and in terms of how that's tracking with some of the things that the goals that I'm setting for myself. We look forward to seeing you to come back at the end of the month on the 1st of August, and we wish you well, and thank you for joining us today, whether you've joined us live today or whether you're watching the replay. Grant, it's been a pleasure to speak with you today, and it's also a pleasure to lean into your expertise around all of this, and as we look forward to the month of July, making it the Ultimate Me Month. I wish us all good energy for what will be a great month.
Let's do it.
Yeah, awesome. You'd like to take us out now?
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.